Welcome. Thank you so much for attending our State of the Region update, sponsored by Orlando Health. I am Bridget Lake, President of the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce. If we could all please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Thank you so much. I'm really excited about this program today. We have all of our Seminole County Commissioners here. And first, I'd like to start off by saying the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce is here to serve as a platform for enhancing business and community interests in our region. Most importantly, we are here to provide education, advocacy, and connections. Now, before I start today, I wanted to take a moment to thank our doctors, nurses, first responders, and healthcare professional workers out there helping others and saving lives. And let us recognize our elected officials here today. We have Seminole County Commissioner Amy Lockhart. Seminole County Commissioner Andrea Herr. Seminole County Commissioner Bob Dallari. Seminole County Commissioner Jay Zenbauer. And Seminole County Commissioner Lee Constantine. We have the City of Oviedo Mayor Megan Sladek. The City of Winter Springs Mayor Charles Lacey. We have Oviedo City Council members Judith Smith. We have the Winter Springs City Commissioner Matt Benton. And the Winter Springs City Commissioner Kevin Cannon, forgive me. And I believe that I got everyone as an elected official. So we will go on to recognize our trustees of the Chamber, A Budgetary Service, Advent Health, Citizens Bank of Florida, City of Oviedo, City of Winter Springs, Duke Energy, Fairwinds Credit Union, Modern Plumbing, Orlando Health, Oviedo City Church, Oviedo Mall, Oviedo Medical Center, Palm Tree Tech Center. We'd also like to recognize our partners in progress, 419 Metal and Auto Recycling, and Platinum Signs and Design. Our media partners, Falconics, Gizmo Productions, L Media, Look Local Magazine, Orlando Business Journal, Oviedo TV, Socoto Films, and thank you so much for videoing today, Diana. Oviedo Winter Springs Life Magazine, and our friends of the Chamber. We have a new friend of the Chamber, Seacoast Bank. Then we have Cavallari Gourmet, Celeste Hotel, Collins Dental, District Eat and Play, Edwards Financial Services, Fast Signs of Orlando, Friendly Confines, Insight Credit Union, ITI Engineering, Jane Arthur and Associates, James Evans, the Real Estate Celt, Kilgore Perlman, Samani Denius and Squires, PA, Legends of Winter Springs, Miller's Ale House Oviedo, Orlando Health Physician Associates, Oviedo YMCA, Partika Group at NAI Real Vest, Rock and Brews Oviedo, Seminole County Property Appraiser David Johnson, Seminole State College, Tuscaloosa Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, the University of Central Florida, and ViStar Credit Union. Let's give them all a round of applause. That round of applause really helps me catch my breath after all of that. And now I'd like to go on to a couple announcements. We have our first business after hours of the year at Infotainment. That is Thursday the 18th. They are opening their doors here in Oviedo. So you're welcome to go to the ribbon cutting there. We hope to see you on the 18th. We also have our Capital Connection trip. We are the only chamber to go to the Capitol every single year up to Tallahassee to advocate for our businesses. And let me tell you, getting in front of the people who are the lawmakers and legislators is the best way to advocate for your business. So if you are interested in attending, that is April 6th and 7th. We work very closely with our members to connect them to anyone that they are interested in seeing while we are up there. And our Economic Development Committee has actually helped put that together, so thank them so much. We also have our next luncheon on March 4th. That is here at the Cultural Center. It's going to be a very interesting one. It is public versus private versus charter schools. Getting a little bit of information on each one and seeing the pros and cons of each different of those schools. So make sure that you are here for that. That is March 4th here at the Cultural Center. And now I'd like to introduce or invite Lisa Dishman, Sponsorships and Events Coordinator, to the stage to talk about Taste of Oviedo coming up on March 27th at Oviedo Mall, presented by Airflow Designs Heating and Air Conditioning.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. Yes, the Taste of Oviedo is scheduled for Saturday, March the 27th at Oviedo Mall, 10 to 6. And there are things that we want the event to grow. And these are opportunities for you to help the event grow. You can become a sponsor, and there are opportunities to do that. You're welcome to talk to me after the event. We can have you as a sponsor. Another way to grow the event is to become a vendor, a business vendor or a food vendor. And you can go to tasteofoviedo.org, the website, and there is a tab that you can register as a vendor. Another opportunity for growth is to become a volunteer. Not sure if you would consider that, but we have opportunities for high school students to do that. I know they need a lot of hours for Bright Futures. So there's a high school volunteer tab as well as a regular volunteer, so you can assist and help connect with the community and help the event grow that way. Now, if you can't participate in any of those, which I'm hoping you can also attend the event, and that will help grow the event with the attendance. So again, we would love to have you at any of those aspects for the event. We would appreciate that and help the chamber and the event grow itself. Also, on your way out, there are posters to take so that you can put in your business to advertise the event to your staff and your employees, as well as there is a calendar that's been published by Creative Publishing and Printing, and they have they printed the Taste of Oviedo posters for the last 24 of the 26 years, and the contest is 2021 is going to be wild. So if you can recognize all the animals for every month, you have opportunity to win a certain prize from them. So make sure you get a calendar from them, as well as a poster to advertise the upcoming event on March 27th. Thank you, and hope to see everybody there in some capacity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I also do want to mention that we are taking certain health and safety precautions. So this is going to be a wild event also, but a safe and a fun one. So make sure you come out. That is March 27th. We have lots of different aspects. We have 30 food vendors. We have a kids area, entertainment, a STEM area, a farmer's market row, and all the great stuff. So from here, I would like to introduce our Seminole County Commissioners. This is a panel discussion that they will introduce themselves very briefly, and then we will go into a Q&A from our moderator. We have Keith Landry from I4 Business Magazine here. Thank you so much. And with this, I want you to know that there are some questions that maybe they are not able to answer sometimes. Not that they don't want to, but there are the sunshine laws, so we do have to make sure that we are cautious on those. Let me first introduce our sponsor today, Orlando Health. Yes. Oh, no. Yes. So we have Sean Molsberger. He is the Vice President of Orlando Health and the President of Orlando Health South Seminole Hospital. Let us welcome up Sean Molsberger.
Hey, I'll be brief. Can you guys hear me all right? All right, we'll use that. Real quick, a longtime public servant once said, I think there's no higher calling in terms of a career than public service, which is a chance to make a difference in people's lives and improve the world. Our community leaders in this room prove this statement to be true, and I would also like to add the career of healthcare worker in this category as well. Over the past year, I've witnessed our team in Orlando Health South Seminole Hospital and the Lake Mary Medical Pavilion and all of our physician offices dedicate their lives to the care of the community during the worst health crisis that we've seen in modern times. Every single team member in the emergency department, to the laboratory, to environmental services and beyond, they played an integral role in compassionate care and provided to our patients and their loved ones at a time when they were most vulnerable. I could not be more proud of the passion, the resilience, and the strength that they displayed and they continue to display. They have found their higher calling. Now, as we look towards that light that a new year brings, we focus on moving forward, on finding some sense of normalcy and reuniting with loved ones. Orlando Health is honored to have led the charge in vaccinating community members aged 65 and older, as well as all frontline healthcare workers and residents of staff and long-term care facilities. Since December 18th, we've administered over 40,000 vaccines and continue to support the state in vaccines. For more information, you can visit vaccine.orlandohealth.com. 2 of those 40,000 vaccines are 2 people named Bob and Sandy Molesberger, and that's my parents. In a few short weeks, they're actually going to be able to come out to our house and have a cookout for the first time in almost 12 months to see their grandkids live. My dad actually has on a calendar in his little place at Oakmont Village in Lake Mary, and it's circled a date. That's the date when he gets to go to Publix. And so it's something like that that you think about. What we don't always think about that we need to think about is the mental health aspect of this pandemic. You know, and it is real, the isolation, everything that exists. And so we're very excited, and the more we can continue to do that, the better. Amid COVID-19, Orlando Health continued its commitment to growth and innovation. This week, we launched what we call a comprehensive health record at 4 a.m. In the morning on Saturday. We were all there to enhance patient care and provide a safer data storage. This momentous occasion brings Orlando Health into a new era, paving the way for continued progress. These innovations came among a strong foundation rooted in quality and safety. In 2020, Orlando Health South Seminole Hospital earned an A grade from the Elite Prog Group, an independent national organization committed to healthcare quality and safety. Also in 2020, during one of the most tiring years in healthcare, Orlando Health South Seminole was recognized nationally by being chosen as a modern best place to work.
Yeah.
Tiffany Pratt, who's always in a good mood, our HR director. We wonder why we're best place to work. Again, we're privileged to serve the needs of this community. Look forward to a year of health and renewal ahead of time. Finally, I want to do this. This is kind of weird for a sponsorship message, but I want to recognize, Tim Cook, and I know Casey's not here, but this is one of those things that we were in this together. This pandemic, and way back in March, we had weekly calls with all the health systems. Alan Harris, Dr. Todd Husty. I look at you guys. Y'all had to make some very, very difficult and unpopular decisions, and you did for the betterment of our community. The decisions that you made, we are now seeing that, and that helped us be able to not get so inundated where we couldn't safely take care of patients. So I really want to thank you for your leadership and your support, because again, this is our community and we get through it together. So again, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you so much, Orlando Health, for sponsoring today's luncheon. And now I'd like to introduce our panel today. We have Seminole County Commissioner Bob Dallari. Bob Dallari currently serves on the Seminole County Commission. Commissioner Dallari lives in Oviedo, where he served on the Oviedo City Council prior to his election to the Seminole County Board of Commissioners. Among the causes he strongly supports are transportation, greenways and trails, sustainable growth, preservation of natural lands and wilderness areas, water conservation and safety. He's a graduate of the Rochester, New York Institute of Technology. On a personal side, Commissioner Dallari enjoys all things outdoors such as hiking and fly fishing. He also enjoys photography and capturing outdoor natural landscapes. Let's welcome to the stage Commissioner Bob Dallari.
Next up, we have Seminole County Commissioner Lee Constantine. Seminole County Commissioner Lee Constantine is a graduate of the University of Central Florida. He has represented Florida as a public servant for 41 years, and he was elected the youngest official in the city of Altamont Springs ever, serving as the commissioner and mayor for 14 years. He was elected in the Florida House of Representatives, where he served 8 years, and Mr. Constantine was elected to the Florida Senate, representing the citizens of Orange and Seminole counties. He served until November 2010, only ending his career due to term limits, and since then he has served as the Seminole County Commissioner, being re-elected in 2016 and 2020, where he was also elected chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. Let us welcome Commissioner Lee Constantine.
And we have Seminole County Commissioner Amy Lockhart, first elected to the school board in 2012 and re-elected in 2016. Amy served as vice chairman for 2 consecutive years, followed by an additional 2 years as chairman. Governor Rick Scott appointed Amy to serve on the Seminole State College District Board of Trustees in 2014 and again in 2018. She currently serves as the board's chairman. She was also elected to the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners in 2018. Amy and her husband Tim have been married for 27 years and have 2 children, Karis and Jake. The Lockharts also have 2 fur babies, golden doodles named Bear and Maggie. In her spare time, Amy enjoys tending to her kitchen garden, cooking, and researching genealogy. Welcome, Commissioner Amy Lockhart. And we have Seminole County Commissioner Andrea Herr. Andrea Herr was elected and sworn into Seminole County District 5 Commissioner seat in 2020. She is a mom, wife, and dedicated community and business leader. With 30 years experience in the insurance industry, Commissioner Herr has translated her focus on innovation to benefit clients and prospects to a platform of advanced service to the citizens of Seminole County. A strong advocate for public education and healthcare, Commissioner Herr served as a chairman of the Foundation of Seminole County Public Schools twice and has served on the board of directors for Seminole State College. Let's welcome to the stage Seminole County Commissioner Andrea Herr. And last but not least, Seminole County Commissioner Jay Zenbauer. Commissioner Zembower is a native Floridian and a 40-year resident of Seminole County. His family has owned and operated Zembower's Auto Center in Altamont Springs for almost half a century. His visions are to work to protect our environment, control overdevelopment, and protect our rural and natural lands, as well as apply prudent business practices and experience on behalf of the citizens to preserve the quality of life for future generations. Commissioner Zembower knows the values that make our community a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Let us welcome to the stage Commissioner Jay Zenbauer. And let's thank our moderator, Keith Landry, Director of Business Development with I4 Magazine. Let's welcome Keith Landry. I figured we have a crowded stage up there. That's good. And now, Keith, if we'd like to start our brief introductions, we have Commissioner Dallari.
Thank you. Thank you. I first started getting involved in the local area when I first moved to Oviedo in 1987. Seen a lot of changes. I realized very quickly that some things needed to have some assistance. I got involved with the local chamber back then. Actually did quite a bit of work with the local chamber back then for setting the chart of what could happen in Oviedo. As it was said earlier, I got involved in local politics when I was with Oviedo in 1996, not to date myself. And my first official meeting, the first decision I had to make had to do with the Oviedo Mall and about the bridge going over the 417. And there was quite a bit of input, public input, And I remember back there was a lot of public sentiment about, we want our mall. Fast forward towards the end of my days in Oviedo, the big crux was what to do with this part of the land around here. And the citizens got involved, and that's how Oviedo on the Park actually happened. So I wanted to thank all the citizens that were involved in that. So it was truly a citizens push to get this part of Oviedo done, and I'm glad to see them happening. When I went to the county, I realized that we needed to focus more on transportation, so that's why I stuck a lot of my effort, both locally from Seminole County side, as well as the region, as well as nationally. I sit on the MPO of Central Florida. I also sit on the MPO nationally for transportation. With that, I also involved in Sunrail, and you're going to see on the news today that we're talking to Brightline about going to the airport, so it is happening. We just in the MOU, we approved that today. So it is about infrastructure for me, but it's more important about infrastructure is quality of life. For me, it's important that we actually represent you. I do not consider myself a politician. I consider myself an elected official. To me, that's a big difference. I'll also tell you it's a privilege and a pleasure working with these fine people here. The partnership that we have, I can tell you that we may disagree on the dais on particular issues, but each one of us has a different approach, but the goal is very much the same. Leave it up for the panel decision. So my name is Bob Dallari. I'm one of your county commissioners. Thank you.
I'm Lee Constantine. I don't think anybody really thinks I need that. It's been my honor to serve as a public servant in Seminole County for as many years as Bridget said.
41.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was telling Amy about when I first got elected in Altamont Springs. I was 24 years old, and they would give me a ugly blue jacket, and we had a strong mayor, and he was a military guy, and he wanted everybody to wear the same blue jacket at every meeting. You'd love this. You would have done this if you could. And everybody had to wear this ugly blue jacket. And the first thing I did was I insisted I am not wearing this ugly blue jacket, which put me on the wrong side of him from the very beginning. But last year, Altamont Springs was serving its 100th year as a city, and I donated it back as a historical thing to the city, and it's now in the library. Okay, be that as may. I honestly, you got to be proud of this county. We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But this county, and this is not from us. This is ranking groups and magazines. We're the number one county in the state to live. We're the number one county in the state to raise a family. We're the number one county in the state, and this is interesting in this pandemic we're doing, to work at home. Now, we've got challenges, and we're going to hear some of them and talk about some of them today. But I'm going to tell you, this is a great group that we have here. And we're going to disagree, like Bob said, but we're not going to be disagreeable in doing it. And we are really, I think, dedicated, each and every one of us, to work together. And we are proud, and we have our own talents, but we're very proud of this county. And chambers like yourselves really make a difference. And we just want to thank you very much. I want to thank you very much. The one thing that you remember, Bob and Commissioner Zembower, Bob, Commissioner Dallari, they represent this area, but we are elected countywide. So we care as much about Oviedo as we do of Longwood or Altamont Springs or Lake Mary or Winter Springs or any other part of this county.
Sanford.
See, the 7 great cities of Seminole County. So, thank you very much.
So much of who I am, I think Bridget shared in that little introduction. When my husband and I moved up here from South Florida, which is where we're from, I'm a South Florida native and grew up in a tiny town down there called Lighthouse Point. My stepmother was actually a city commissioner and mayor during the time when I was growing up, and so I had a little bit of a political bug, I guess, leaving home and coming up here. But we chose when we left South Florida, Tim and I chose Seminole County as the place to raise our children. And like many of you did, you came to Seminole County because this was what you wanted a part of your family story to be. And so I'm thrilled and honored to have served in so many different ways over the years in this community. Like a lot of us, our time serving here started out in a volunteer role. You just sort of start to get involved, like so many of you. You get involved in what's going on in your community, and you realize that you may have some gifts or some talents that you can volunteer and serve in other ways. And so that's sort of how I wound up on the school board, and it's been an interesting ride, and had an opportunity to meet so many of these folks through that experience. And then serving as a trustee at Seminole State College, which I am just absolutely thrilled with the work that we do at that institution and the way that we provide a workforce for so many of your institutions and your small businesses is so critical. So to be able to bring that to the county commission, those relationships with the school district, the relationships with the college, and to be able to bring that together to sort of be a voice, that relational connection for what I kind of, think are the three greatest institutions in Seminole County, the public institutions. It's just truly, I hate to say it's a blessing because it sounds so corny, but it really is. It's a blessing to be able to serve, and it's a blessing to be able to be involved in the great work that, and I'll say it again because you'll see us, the five of us will disagree, and sometimes our disagreements can get a little spirited, but still agreeable, I believe. But that's okay, because when you're passionate about what you do, you should stand up and you should speak up. And I heard someone recently say, I'm not one to just kind of sit back and not speak my mind. Well, that's good, because you all didn't choose us to represent you to sit back and not speak our minds, because we're supposed to be speaking for you on your behalf. So you will have, hopefully, a fun time today watching the five of us speak our minds.
So I'm Andrea, Herr, better known as the new guy. I was recently elected, and I can darn well assure you, and there's a few of you that have served on boards with me over the years, I can darn well assure you that I never had aspirations of sitting in this seat. And you knew that by the way I did speak my mind on boards that I was on. And so I am truly grateful for those of you that supported me, even though you served on boards with me, and maybe because you served on boards with me over the years. I can certainly tell you, I'll give you the stuff that wasn't said, and that was a long intro, so I don't know what else you'd like to know, except I didn't grow up in a political family. I grew up in the family that the politicians watched.
She's Italian.
I'm Italian.
You got three of us,
So my family thinks it's absolutely hysterical that I've done this and succeeded in doing this. But I grew up in a very small town east of Philly. My grandparents were immigrants. I'm a first-generation college graduate, extremely proud of that. My sister and I both managed to do that. Most of the cousins in my generation did that. We moved from Philly when I was very young to a very small Quaker town. And we moved right across the street from the Quakers' Friends Meeting Hall. And that's their church, and that's a very conservative group, and we were not. And so the parties that we had on the front porch with the shots and the beers and the stogies and the big Italian dinners, and anybody that walked by got drug into the table, and it was all cool. We changed the neighborhood, I think, for the better. They may differ with that. So I offer you that as a little bit of insight into, I'm used to sticking out like a sore thumb, and I'm so a little more information. And a little unknown fact about Oviedo and my tie to Oviedo. My husband had his law practice out here for a number of years. He had the very big privilege of learning from Evelyn Cloninger years ago. And I couldn't have been happier for him that he found that good partnership.
Well, I'm District 2 Commissioner Jay Zenbauer, and I've been here long enough that I used to ride my horse right where this building pretty much stands today. And here we stand, how far Oviedo in this area has grown. And I'm not going to take a lot of time to talk about myself and my family. What I really want to take a moment first and foremost, I want to thank the mayors that are here, the elected officials, our small business owners, and the population as a whole. For those that may not know, this group of people elected me to be the chairman for the first pandemic in the history of Seminole County. And so I thank them for having, not knowing what we were facing and having faith in me to take those reins. But it was not me. It was the mayor here, the mayor in Winter Springs, and all the elected officials, and the public and our small business people that really came together with our healthcare providers and really did the right thing for our fellow man in this community. While I was on calls with others in the region, hearing the horror stories and some of the things that were going on in other communities in Central Florida, I was often reflecting on what was going on within our own county. And I reflected upon a day, I was sitting on the third floor, and our security gentleman from the sheriff's office came up and said, Chairman, we have a problem. I said, okay, well, what's up? Well, there's some protesters out front. They're coming down the street, and they're demanding to speak to somebody about the mask mandate and all this kind of stuff. And I said, okay. Let them know I'll be right down. Why would you do that? I said, well, they're citizens of this county. They're taxpayers and they're voters. I may not agree with them, but they're owed the courtesy to engage their public officials. We went down, I listened to a bullhorn in my ear, yelling and screaming, and at the end of the day, everything was fine. But it's really about this community, the small business people, our healthcare providers, and all the elected officials who were so fortunate here in Seminole County that we were able to have all 7 cities on the same page in agreement on what was best for our entire county, in comparison to other areas of the state that had a county making one decision of what they should do and other cities doing something different, which then only confused the public and then further confused people as they crossed those boundaries from one city to the next. So thank you all very much. It's a great place. I've enjoyed the 3 years that I've been an elected official. I also want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Capro, who was part of our 2020 census. Another point, Seminole was #1 to get the census return and the highest return rate in the state. So you heard some of the benefits that we have here. We're also one of the healthiest communities in the state. It truly does speak about the businesses, the healthcare providers, your elected officials, and the entire public as a whole. So thank you all very much for making a very crazy year for this chairman one much easier to handle. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Keith Landry. I'm your moderator for about the next half hour or so. Thank you to all 5 of you for making time to come out today and connect with your constituents. Some of you may recall me from years past. I was with Fox 35 for about 14 years. Now I'm currently working with I4 Business Magazine in Orlando and a realtor in Central Florida with Charles Ruttenberg Realty. I just want to give a couple of kudos and shout outs to myself today. First of all, shout outs to Bolay, right? How good is that? The one good thing about wearing masks during a pandemic is if you get broccoli stuck in your teeth and you take a photo, you're okay. You don't need to worry. But kudos to everybody for coming out. How many of you are just happy to be out of your home office for 2 hours today? A couple of people? Yeah, I go stir crazy. Living on my Universal, I spend about 12 hours a day in the home office, so it's nice just to get released for a couple hours here. Other kudos to our healthcare workers. Orlando Health, your team, along with the other hospitals in Central Florida through this pandemic, the things you faced, the things that, call it 14 months ago, you couldn't imagine you would face, the exhaustion, the exasperation, that emotional roller coaster, and at times the amazing rewards when you save lives and help people stay healthy. So I would like everybody to give our healthcare workers a big enthusiastic. And then to our elected officials, both at the county and the city level. As a journalist for 26 years, I covered elected officials. I knew many of them well, and often I challenged them heartily. And I would say that outside of September 11th and hurricanes we have from time to time here, this is one of the greatest challenges, this pandemic, for elected officials in modern history. Very, very tough decisions while they're trying to take care of their own families at the same time. So for all the elected officials and their support staff that don't have a microphone all the time, kudos to them. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, now we'll dig into the questions. So the obvious question on everyone's mind is about the pandemic. Vaccinations are starting to pick up. We hope that maybe 6 months from now, things will look a lot better and we won't have to wear a mask. I'm going to go right down the line on this one. What would you say to citizens trying to get COVID-19 vaccinations? Commissioner, let's start with you. What advice can you offer? What update can you offer on that?
Well, what update I could offer on that, one of the first things you can do as a Seminole County resident is go to prepareseminole.org and sign up for the text alerts and the information, as well as engage in our social media we have at the county to stay updated on when doses come available. The reality is, I know my office, and I'm sure my fellow commissioners' offices, field dozens, if sometimes hundreds of calls a day about they can't get a vaccine or how do we get a vaccine. And the struggle is there's only so many doses available that are being manufactured. And then that has to go to all 50 states. And then it comes through the state down to the county level. And the distribution is based on the amount of, at least right now, the amount of seniors over the age of 65. That's how the distribution is happening. Some of the math sometimes doesn't quite add up, but that's the general sense of it. My recommendation is, watch your healthcare providers as things start to come online more and more doses come available through the Publix, the Walgreens, our healthcare providers. It's going to be a while before everyone that wants a vaccine is able to get it. So in the interim, we have to do what we know is best for our community. Wear your mask, wash your hands, keep your social distancing. It will come available. If anybody's having difficulty and can't get in, I know my office, and I'm sure any of my colleagues will be more than happy. I know we've assisted several elderly folks who are not savvy with social media, get in the portal and get them the vaccine. So, we want to do it as much as we can. We want to get it out there, but really it's the amount of doses coming to us is what determines how many we can roll out.
Commissioner Lockhart, would you like to add anything?
Sure. So it feels a little bit like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, like you're waiting to be the one that got the golden ticket. And I've talked to many neighbors and folks. Public seems to be the place where I run into the most people who ask the question, how do I get a vaccine? And I wish that there was an answer that was a surefire way to assure everyone that they would get what they want when they want it. And unfortunately, very much like what Commissioner Zembower just said, there's a reality of supply and demand. And until the community has the vaccines to distribute, there just are only so many. It's math, I do know that on Tuesdays, the county is updating the website, prepareseminole.org, every Tuesday. So if you're not someone who sits on social media waiting to see, I actually read, if you're on the Nextdoor app, I don't know if any of you are on Nextdoor, fascinating place to watch human behavior. Yeah, so there was, one of the guys said, I just stare at the Eventbrite and I wait. He said he stared at it for hours, and finally he saw a cancellation pop up. So I'm not going to suggest to you that you stare at Eventbrite for hours, but one of your neighbors in the Nextdoor app said that was how he did it. So I just wish that we could say that everyone who wanted one could get one. If you're homebound, if you have an elderly friend or neighbor or family member that is homebound, we are working with the Florida Department of Health. Donna Walsh is a rock star. If you all do not know Donna Walsh, she and her team are absolutely incredible. She's the Director of Health who works for the state of Florida, assigned to Seminole County. Her team is doing home visits. I think maybe some of our EMTs are helping as well. But that would be something that they could check out through the Department of Health.
Commissioner Dallari, you get the last shot on this one.
Well, I'm not going to repeat what the other commissioners said because it's evident, but I will tell you that our staff, Alan Harris, Donna Walsh, Dr. Husky, are more than rock stars. The mere fact that they, or we, and it's all of us, we took over Sears and made it our distribution center. If you haven't gone through it, wait, you're going to see it. It's amazing. I've been there, took my 90-year-old dad there to get his vaccination, and there's people actually walking out, and you're hearing them saying, I can't believe the government finally got something right. I had another person said, I would never believe the government did this. And I will tell you firsthand, no one knew who I was or my dad was. By the time we left the car, got in, got back out into the car, was 35 minutes. And that was with the 15-minute wait. The big thing that I would tell you to take away is please be patient. The next thing is be diligent and be whatever you have to do to get in line to get the vaccination. And last but not least, have grace. Because we are truly lucky that we have the ability to do what we're doing at the mall and have the forward thinking. Most people don't realize that we were the, again, I'm going to follow the same format that some of the other commissioners says, we were the first county in the state of Florida to declare a state of emergency in January. And we were told we were overreacting. And then when the pandemic finally hit, they wanted to know, how did you know? Well, the experts, because that's what they are, the experts, our experts, your experts. They said, well, it's quite obvious. All you have to do is read. And so we have a lot to be thankful for. And I'll tell you, it's not just the county, it's the cities, it's the hospitals, it's the medical providers, it's the first responders. But please, be patient, be diligent, have grace. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. So obviously the pandemic has been nothing short of brutal on our small business owners in Seminole County, across the state of Florida, across the United States. Before the pandemic, Florida was a 90% small business owned, even though, there's certain companies that get all the media attention. 90% small business owned. I wonder what it would be 6 months from now. But with that said, I'd like to thank Bridget and Lisa and Jordan for all they do for the Seminole County businesses and what you've done to help them hang in there through everything. So let's give them a quick round. And then Chairman Constantine, I'll start with you on this one. Regarding the CARES Act and funds to help our small business owners in Seminole County, what kind of an update can you give us about what's been done and where we might go from here?
Well, this county has been really proactive in that. Let me tell you how important, and Commissioner Zembower mentioned Phil and everybody else when it comes to the census. Do you know that the federal government, the first CARES Act, every county over $500,000 got their money immediately sent directly to them? And we were the 13th largest county in the state, and what is it, 21,000 from the last census, below 500,000. So we had to come into our own budget at first. Thank God we have the highest reserves in the region, but we had to go into that first, and then hoping that we would get the money in CARES Act. We eventually did, and what this county did was we immediately set our eyes on how we can help a number of different areas, whether it be indigent care, whether it be schools, whether it be small business. I believe that we've given already over $12.5 million to small business in help. I believe it was to more than 2,500 different companies in Seminole County. And I will be honest with you, and I think, we could have given a lot more if we had it. And we don't know what's coming. We're hoping that, what we've heard from the new administration, that we're going to be able to get money for the local governments. But I will tell you that we're dedicated to give it right back to the community. And we have done that consistently. I believe that I could go into also what we've done with indigent care and also the schools, but let me just say, we weren't required to give money to the schools, but to help them, because they got their own CARES Act money, but to help them, because we understand how important our school district here is in Seminole County, we went ahead and gave them over, I believe it was $8 million also to get back our kids into schools. So, one of the things that I think my fellow commissioners also said, our system that we have right now at Oviedo, the Oviedo Mall, and in Sears, is like a military program. I got to tell you, when Bob says he was in and out, or his father was in and out for 35 minutes, he said 15 minutes. That's 15 minutes you have to wait till after you get the shot for the reaction. I mean, I have never seen any group of citizens so happy, because I've been there, I know the others have visited there, they're so happy just from the sheer volume. We can do 2,000 a day. And let me tell you, we started with, 12,000 a week that we were getting. The last amount of vaccine we got was 1,900. So we can do a whole lot more. And if you've heard time and time again from others, it's with us also. Give us more vaccine, we can do it. Now we're going to have a number of different locations with the Walgreens, Publix, Winn-Dixie. Good, great, the more the merrier. Because the faster we get this vaccine out, the faster we all get back to what we normally want to do.
What would you add in terms of an update on the CARES Act?
Well, I think it speaks volumes of our community, as the chairman indicated. We knew very early on in this group of commissioners were very dedicated and aware that when all the pandemic broke out, our small businesses were going to be impacted tremendously. And again, we didn't wait for the federal money to come through the state to us. We as a board decided, look, we have reserves. We're one of the most conservative boards in the region, if not the state. So we had significant reserves that we were able to go to for this kind of purpose, emergency type purposes, to tap into, and we all agreed that we needed to get the money out as quick as possible. I don't think there was a meeting or a work session where all of us were telling our staff, it has to happen. People need the help now, not next week, not next month, not 3 months from now, and not certainly when the state finally gives us our cut. Let's go in, let's get it done. I think as we move forward, we're going to continue to monitor what goes on. We're hearing a lot of monies are supposed to come to the local governments. Not that we're not impacted, but we're not impacted to the extent as, say, Orange County is because of their reliance on tourism, as well as we've had and held that reserve for an extended period of time. The other thing that this board has taken a proactive approach on was we knew when the pandemic broke out that it was important, as the small businesses and everybody in the community were being impacted, losing their jobs and some even losing their businesses. Who are we at the government to give pay increases or hire new staff as the downturn was happening? So we have put a freeze on those hires. We put a freeze on pay increases until we really understand what the full economic impact is going to be to the county. And that's the way this board has run from a conservative philosophy. Our employees will get increases at some juncture, but we have to be patient as this thing finally unfolds. The vaccine, I think, is going to be the first answer. We're going to have to see how recovery goes from there on the other side of the pandemic, which truly is the economic impact.
All right, now I'm going to play Phil Donahue. Y'all remember Phil Donahue? Goes to the audience like this. Remember that guy back when we were young? Okay, so now we're going to open it up for questions so that anybody that has a question has a chance to communicate with the commissioner. And I will keep a safe social distance mask on. And this is a question from Judy. All right, Judy, what's your question and who would you like to ask it to?
I actually don't have a question. I am Judy, the Region Director of Oviedo Mall Operations. And
Thank you.
You guys have
Thank
all,
you. Thank you.
You guys have all talked about Alan and his team. I'm sorry if I get a little choked up, but I can't say enough about that man and his team. He called me up and asked, he didn't even have the question out of his mouth, and it was a yes, but he originally asked me for 3,000 square feet, and now we're in Sears. So, so we chuckle about that, but, I mean, they're like a mash unit. They went from the space they were in to the next space, to Sears, like within 6 hours. It was just an incredible team of people that are down there, the volunteers they have in there, and it is a well-oiled machine. I say to my family, like, if there's ever an emergency in Seminole County, I have complete confidence that we will get through it with that team in place. So I just wanted to say how grateful we are to host doing that and how wonderful they're doing down there.
Phil, let me just say that, Keith, they've been incredible. You know, Vita Mall has been incredible. We went, and Alan loves to laugh, Alan Harris loves to laugh about this. We went from Victoria's Secrets to Sears real fast. But I'm just saying, we outgrew Victoria's Secrets and had to get into Sears.
He actually asked for the 3,000, and I put him in 7,500. The next day, he's asking for Victoria, which was another 5. And then we were going to do the community room, and I have all these other spaces, and then, of course, Sears worked out. So we were really
And we'd love to say all the firsts. We were the first county in the state to start giving the vaccinations. Right. And it was because we were able to get the facility that these folks helped us get, the facility and the people in place, as well as the vaccine.
Well, and
Folks,
if
isn't
I
it
could
nice
just
when
keep.
government works? Isn't it
Yeah.
nice when government actually works? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I want to chime on and tag on to what Judy just said, because I think it's important, you know, we talk about county staff and employees, and just like your small businesses, our operation doesn't run without people. And it's the employees that, you know, potholes don't fill themselves, vaccines don't administer themselves, fires don't put themselves out. And I think all of us are genuinely concerned about the stress and impact that this episode has had on our staff. Having been a county employee for 8 years before I ran for the school board, I feel very much what they are experiencing right now, and I would be lying if I said I am not concerned that we are going to be going into some major burnout if we don't do something quickly to help support them, because they are maxed out right now, all of them.
Keith, real quickly.
Go ahead.
Just a side note. When we started doing the mask, we actually had to send a police officer with Alan and stay at his house, outside his house, because of all the threats. I mean, it's crazy. And I'll tell you, Commissioner Lockhart's right. So you throw a pandemic into the mix, into the blender. That's what this is, it's a blender. But you still have to run the county. You still have to do all the things that county staff does. And no one is missing anything with services.
And I walked in and Alan's literally opening folding chairs and putting chairs out like.
So one of the problems we have with Alan, and it is a problem, he doesn't go home. They have to tell him to go home. They have to tell him you can't come to work on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's how dedicated these people are. That's how dedicated, not just him, the first responders, and all the hospital people.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I can talk about it forever.
Do we have any questions over here? We have one in the back.
Commissioner, thank you all very much for coming out today. I understand this may be the first time it's advising you around panel in a public format that's not the county commission meeting, so thank you very much for letting us have that privilege. I posed a question, well, actually I have two questions. The first one specifically for Commissioner Herr. What is the most surprising thing that you have found since taking office that you didn't know about with the job?
Be nice.
Think about that for a minute. You might be thinking about that. I was in Concord Leadership General Class 29, and I posed a question to all of the mayors at our last monthly session, and that was that cities used to make sense because there was so much space between them, and you need to have places to have little centers of government. But now our lines are so jagged next to each other, and the county does such a good job with things. Do we really need cities anymore, or should we just annex them and have them absorb the county? It was a very popular question with the mayors. My question for you all is, what is it that the county, is there any reason why the cities should not consider
Well, that's awesome. So I'm going to go back and address a couple of things that we talked about earlier, because there's one really important thing with regard to the vaccines that I want to share. And that is when you go to prepareseminole.org, you got to follow it, because then you'll get the announcements. We're no longer texting, so the easy button is hit follow, literally, and you'll be alerted. And I would also tell you that if you have elderly people in your orbit, so notice that I didn't say family members, elderly people in your orbit, and you guys have big orbits, sign up for them, because it is hard, and they don't get it, living this in my own family and in my orbit. So reach out to a neighbor and help. The other thing that I would say about small businesses is that one of the things that the county did, and this was before I got there, was they deployed EY, so Ernst & Young, to manage the small business interactions. So we can say very clearly that it was done objectively and fairly, and we should be beyond reproach at the end of the day when they come back. That is a big deal, and not everyone did that. It took us a little more time to get out, but that was a good, really good, sound decision. What have I found to be most surprising? Maybe this shouldn't be surprising, but I often find I don't get a word in edgewise, as we proved today, so that was kind of funny.
I promise I was going to ask you a couple of
I'm sure you were. So I think the thing that's most surprising is that I don't come from a very process-oriented industry, right? On the carrier side of insurance, it's very process-oriented. I did that for 16 years. I get it. I was a banker for 4 years. I get it. Things have to happen every day, balanced to the penny. On the agency side of our business, not very process-oriented. I really would have thought we would have more very succinct processes that I could literally pull out and refer to and understand, and I'm not finding that to be the case yet. That doesn't mean they're not there, it just means I haven't found them yet. And so maybe they are, I don't know, but that's simply surprising to me. Not as sexy of an answer as you probably wanted, Phil. It could be something cooler. The last thing that I'm going to leave you with is this, and that is that we're coming up on a year in an emergency operations center mode, which means that we always give kudos to the people that are in the EOC, Alan and the team and Donna, but it also means that we have people from all of the departments that are deployed to EOC, so every single department at the county office is working short-staffed, along with a hiring freeze, along with no salary changes. And so the stress levels are at an all-time high, and I can tell you that anytime we make an announcement of any sort, we get blistered. I don't really understand that. I'd like to try to change that dialogue in our community, that there's just this absence of trust, and maybe Charles is looking at me like I'm crazy. So I get to be naive, at least for a little bit, right? Please give kudos to those entire teams. What you said is magical today. I would love to see nothing better than flowers show up from the community to the EOC people, to the offices, to the city offices. We're working in crazy town, and I hear all the time from the business side, because I am still a full-time employee of another firm, how hard we have it, how hard small businesses have it. Other than healthcare workers, your local governments are rock solid in how hard they have it. So that's the second surprising thing that I found.
Keith, I'm sorry, if you want me to answer, or we can answer the other question very quickly. I think we all believe that we have 7 wonderful and unique cities in Seminole County. And it's extremely important that we work together and have partnerships. I will tell you that Winter Springs was one of the first ones, as well as Altamont Springs, to consolidate with us on the fire system. And when there are areas that we can work together and specifically go into consolidation, that's great. But we do have 7 vital, unique cities that people choose to live in for that reason. We are there to complement them. And I believe we are not the 8th and largest city in Seminole County. We are the county. And we have our own services, and they provide certain services that we cannot or do not or don't have the ability, and vice versa. So they're very important, and I think working together is extremely important.
and the lines will stay in place for now. Okay, well, thanks everybody. I want to thank the commissioners for your time today. It was great to have all 5 of you in the same place, in the same panel. Saluting all the small business owners for all you do. Hang in there. A few more months, we're going to turn the corner on all this stuff. And especially kudos to Bridget Lake and her team for all you're doing to support our business owners throughout Seminole County. So thank you all, and I'm going to turn it back over to Bridget.
Thank you so much. And let's thank all